All right, welcome guys. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, we only got two games to talk about, but I think it's a pretty interesting slate, I guess, for two-game slate. There's a couple different strategies you can go about, when targeting the slate. Do you think both games stay close? Maybe you think one game blows out, and then you kind of stack the other game. So we'll talk about a couple different strategies here, but yeah, let's go over what we know so far. A lot of this stuff, honestly, is for Wednesday, so I'm gonna go by really quick. Yeah, Lonzo probable. We got news that he's in, but he's gonna be at a minutes limit. We haven't really heard of what the minutes limit's gonna be. Let's see. Yeah, so basically, just all this news is for Wednesday. So just bear with me as I scroll through. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Make sure we're up to date. Yeah, Lonzo will start. We'll be at a minutes limit. We don't know what the minutes limit will be. If I had to guess, I would say somewhere in the mid to high 20s minutes, like 25-ish, maybe a little bit more for Lonzo. Eric Bledsoe will also start. And then, Horford's still out. So, yeah, Ball, Bledsoe, Ingram, Zion, and Adams. Joe Ingles is available to play. So that's a slight downgrade to Clarkson. I don't think he plays as much. Probably takes a guy like Niang out of play. Derek Favors also playing. All right. So let's take a look at the Vegas odds here. We have Pelicans and Jazz. It's a 217.5 over under. The Jazz are 6-point favorites, and Thunder Nuggets a 220 over under. The Nuggets are 10-point favorites. So let's go team by team here. I don't have a ton to talk about, but I'll do my best to break it down. So first, OKC Denver. SGA at the top at 8-7. I think if you think this game stays competitive, you're probably going to want some SGA because, looking at the rest of this roster, not a very talented team. So, yes, there's bullet risk here. But if the Thunder can keep it close, I think it's got to be because of a big game from Shea. And he's flashed upside. He's flashed 50-plus fancy point upside. The matchup's actually good here, right? Denver is not a great defensive team, so I think SGA, this price might scare some people off, but I think if you think this game stays competitive, you probably are going to want to have SGA. If you think this game blows out, obviously then you kind of probably stack the other game. Baisley at 5-6. So the issue with just basically everyone else besides SGA are they're going with the hot hand. So Baisley, last couple games 25, only played 28 minutes that last game. He's a guy that does have some upside, right? We've seen 40 plus from him a couple times, but also, floor of like 10 to 15 fantasy points. So, yeah, Baisley's in play for GPPs, depending on whether or not he hits his shots. Lou Dort had a big game last game, also had 6 steals and 1 block, so would not expect that again. Priced up, I'll probably pass. And Hamidou Diallo, minutes are up and down on him. He only played 14 minutes last game, so I guess you can throw him in for GPPs if you want to. George Hill, 4-3, so 3 of the last 4 games has played 28 minutes in regulation. Hasn't been amazing, but I think he's actually an okay value play because we kind of know the minutes will be there for him in a competitive game. So, yeah, I have some interest there in George Hill. Roby's going to be a popular value play. My issue with Isaiah Roby was the same issue I had with James Wiseman last night. I told you guys, you can play Wiseman, but I'm worried about the foul trouble. Sure enough, Wiseman had 5 fouls in, 10 minutes against Anthony Davis, right? So I don't like targeting centers against those aggressive centers, like an Anthony Davis, like a Joel Embiid, like a Nikola Jokic. So there is some foul trouble concerns here. Roby fouled out last game against Chicago, so that is a risk. If he does stay out of foul trouble, I would say he plays mid to high 20s minutes. So if he does, I think he's a good value play. But again, you got to know the risk when you play him. The bench guys, so it's tough for me because, again, they go with a hot hand here. So, Kenrich Williams at 3-6, played 27 minutes the last game. I have no idea what the minutes going to be for him. 13, 3, 15, and 27 for him the last 3 games. I think he could play 10 minutes. I think he could play 25. Again, I don't know. So, yes, you can add Kenrich Williams to the player pool. Again, have no idea what his minutes going to be like. Maldian at 3-5, we probably get about 15 minutes for him. Yeah, I guess he's viable, or you got to talk with these guys. Poshesky at 3-2, I would say probably gets about 15 minutes. Again, he's almost at min price, so also you can play him. And then, Mike Muscala is going to back up Roby. If Roby does get in some foul trouble like he did last game, Mike Muscala filled in. I think they kind of split the center minutes. So Muscala is actually an okay value play at 3-4. Again, you can get off the Roby chalk if you want to and kind of hope for some foul trouble. But That's it. Yeah. So like again, a lot of these guys like are viable, like the bench guys, but good luck, trying to predict how many minutes they're going to play. So yeah, basically all those like bench guys that are like cheap are in play against a 2-game slate. So all these guys are viable, but don't have a really good feeling in which one I like. Again, Mike Muscala, if you think Roby gets in some foul trouble. Kenneth Williams had the big game last game, but I have no idea how many minutes he's going to play this game. So that's it for the Thunder. Again, obviously it's SGA at the top if you think this game stays competitive. If you think this game blows out, then you probably want to target those bench guys, right? So you probably want to look to Kenrich Williams, a Maldion, a Poiseski, right? Those guys will play in the blowout. So, again, it depends how you're attacking the slate. On the Denver side, a little more clear, right? We have Jokic, we have Jamal Murray. This is where the offense is coming from, and just a fantastic spot. Like, Jokic should be able to feast against Roby and Mike Muscala. So 11K is a lot, but on a 2-game slate, I have a hard time getting away from him. Unless you think this game blows out, which is a possibility, right? You could fade him and hope for the blowout. You could fade him and hope he gets in foul trouble. He's been in foul trouble a couple times so far this year, but I think it's Jokic is a clear play if you can get to him. Jamal Murray, really like his upside in GPPs. The floor is somewhat low with him, but minutes have been pretty high the last few games, 35, 37, 42. It's just he does have a floor of like 20 fantasy points if he's not hitting a shot. So like I do like the upside here, good amount of Jamal Murray for GPPs. Still no Michael Porter Jr. Now, with Will Barton and Gary Harris, they both got benched last game, or they did not close, right? They closed with Monte Morris and PJ Dozier, so there is some risk, but 2 of the last 3 games he did close, and he's played 38 and 32 minutes. Like, Will Barton's a decent play if he closes. It's just a matter of, does he play well? Right? If he plays well, he'll most likely close, so there's some risk there with Gary Harris. Same thing with Will Barton, same thing with Gary Harris. Gary Harris a little bit more reliant on the scoring. But yeah, both those guys are viable, cheap plays. It just, depends on, do we think they play well to start? Because if they do, they will most likely close. If both those guys struggle, then it's going to be Monte Morris and PJ Dozier that we can look to. That would probably play a little bit more if those guys struggle. Or if the game blows out, right? If this game blows out, Dozier, Monte Morris probably get extended a bit. So these are 2 guys you would look to, I think, either way. But if the game does blow out, they get a pretty big boost. Not super interested in Paul Millsap. JaMychal Green is priced up to 4.6. I think it's solid. Like, probably gets 20 to 25 minutes. I don't know if he has huge upside in that price, though. And that's it for Denver. So let's move on to the final game here. New Orleans and Utah. Guys, we are at, almost 400 viewers for a 2-game slate. Thank you, guys. Let's try to aim for 70 likes on the live stream if we can. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I will say, like I did last slate, even though I did well last slate, just take it light. Like, play very little tonight. 2-game slates are super high variance. There's a ton of luck involved in these slates, so I'm hardly playing anything tonight because it's not worth it, right? You got to know when to take slates off. And this is a slate you should take off or play very, very little because there's just a lot of luck involved in these 2-game slates. But yeah, let's move on to the Pelicans. So Ingram Morgan going to be a contrarian play on the slate. Interesting, pivot in GPPs. Again, I think he'll be, 10, 15. I don't think he's going to be popular at all, right? Last 2 games, 36, 30, and 30 fantasy points. That's not a great matchup, but this is the game we'll probably see the big Brandon Ingram game. He'll troll all of us. He's let me down last couple times I've played him, so I probably can't do it. Zion Williamson's at 7.9. Definitely prefer him to Ingram. Just been more consistent, right? He just has a higher floor. He's had 43, 39, 43, and 40 fantasy points in the last 4 games. Minutes are about 35 or so. So I do prefer Zion to Ingram right now for the discount. Now, Lonzo Ball at 6.3, being on a minutes limit, I probably don't do it. Again, we don't know what the minutes limit is, but I would say probably about mid-20s. So I don't think I play Lonzo. Bledsoe at 6K, again, very up and down. You can look to him in GPPs. We've seen some 40 fantasy point games from Bledsoe, but he's been very, very inconsistent. Now, NAW with Lonzo being limited, I think is still viable. Like, I think we get, 20-ish, maybe a little bit more, 20 to 25 for NAW minutes-wise, I would guess. He's a decent point per minute guy, so I still think NAW is viable here in the mid-range. Guys like Josh Hart, JJ Redick. Josh Hart, I think, gets somewhere around mid-20s minutes as well. A good rebounder. Again, been up and down, but at 4.9, I think he's in play for value. JJ Redick, a little riskier, very reliant on the scoring. Minutes have been up and down for him, so more of just a GBP play there. Last guy I mentioned here is Jackson Hayes. I don't know what to do with his minutes. Last 4 games, 3, 19, 8, and 16. So I'm like, how many minutes is Jackson Hayes going to play? Because he's a decent point per minute guy. He could play like 5 minutes. I would not be surprised if he just doesn't play. But he could also play 15 minutes. If that's the case, he probably has a decent game. So tough one here, Jackson Hayes, and more suited for GPPs. Let's finish up with the Jazz. So Jazz, do not like seeing them on the slate, but it's 2 games, so we got to talk about them. Donovan Mitchell at 8-2 is going to be one of the more popular plays in the slate. Good matchup for him. Again, Pelicans are playing slow, but they're still not a great defensive team. Donovan Mitchell's been a little up and down. We've seen 50 fantasy points from him once, but yeah, again, I think he's a solid play. He'll be pretty popular. Rudy Gobert at 7-6. We probably get mid-30s minutes from him. Again, doesn't have huge upside. Obviously, per Jokic, if we can get to him, but I think you definitely could play both if you want to. Mike Conley at 6'8", getting about 30 minutes. He's been a decent point per minute guy. He's a good, a guy with the assist. He can rebound the ball. I think Mike Conley is like a decent play there in the mid-range, a safer option. Clarkson with Joe Ingles back. I just think the minutes go down for him. Price is up too. So I'm not saying he's fully out of play, but I think we only get like 25 minutes from Clarkson, which just makes him a strictly GPP only play. Bojan strictly GPPs as well because very reliant on the scoring. If a shot is not falling, he's not going to get there. So yeah, I think he's a fine option. But again, you got to know where you're getting into playing him. Royce is too expensive. I don't really want to play Joe Ingles coming back from injury. It just kind of, again, hurts Clarkson and takes Niang out of play for value. I think Niang plays very little, so do not play Gorgeous Niang with Joe Ingles available. Last guy I'll mention here is Derek Favors, 3-8. He'll play the backup 5. If for some reason you think if for some reason you think Gobert gets in some foul trouble, you can look to Favors. Decent point per minute guy. Again, I expect about 15 minutes, so you can look to him for value, right? Maybe get different off the Roby chalk. You can go to Derek Favors to kind of try to differentiate yourself. But that's really it, guys. So again, brief overview. I think there's a few different ways you can go about the slate. You can, maybe you think both games stay competitive, and then, you get a mix of match in both games. Or, maybe you think OKC Denver blows out. So you play some of those guys in the second unit on Denver OKC for value, and then kind of stack this game with the stars. Or the opposite, right? Maybe you think New Orleans Utah game blows out. So you play most of the guys in this game, and you play a couple of cheap plays in that game, right? There's a couple different strategies you can go. Obviously, the safer strategy is probably get a mix of both. But yeah, both games, obviously the OKC Denver game is a little bit better chance to blow out. But the thing with OKC and Denver is I know where the production's coming from in those teams, right? With New Orleans, it's a little bit more balanced. With Utah, it's a little bit more balanced. With OKC, I know it's SGA. Right, if this game's staying close, we're seeing a pretty big game from SGA. With Denver, it's Jokic and Murray, right? So it's like this game, I think, is a little easier to attack. Hope it stays close because I know where the production is coming from on both teams. On New Orleans, there's like 4 or 5 guys that could do it, right? And then on the Utah side, same thing. They're more balanced. I guess I forgot to mention Steven Adams. Didn't mean to skip over him. Steven Adams at 6'1", I think he's a safe play. He'll play about 30 minutes. Somewhat high floor, right? We saw 14 from him that game against the Lakers, more of an outlier. Normally, he's got a decently high floor. So, Adams is a safe play. You can go to him in either format. But yeah, that's it, guys. Again, 2-game slate. I'll repeat myself. Play very little or just take it off. Seriously. Like, you got to know when to take off slates. This is a slate you should not be playing a lot. Let's just refresh this Fantasy Lab, see if we got any more news. I don't think we do. Yeah. So, that's it, guys. That's all I got. Let's get some questions. Favors revenge game. Yeah, I think he's an okay value play. I do. Would you rather play Lonzo or JC for Showdown? I would rather play Jordan Clarkson. Even with Ingles back, I would rather play Clarkson than Lonzo. 8 fantasy points. I think George Hill. I think George Hill is a guy I feel a little bit more comfortable with for the Thunder value because I think his minutes are pretty secure of like mid-20s. Hill, Roby, Baisley, JaMychal Green in my ESPN league. Anyone got thoughts? What do you mean, like picking one of those guys? I faded Gobert to take Adams. Adams will be lower owned, right? Obviously, Jokic is going to be the chalk. Gobert's going to be the next highest guy, but I think Adams is like a decent play. I do. Every time I play George Hill, he always busts. Yeah, George Hill's not a must play. No way. But I think he does play 25-ish minutes. Yeah, SGA, Hill, Dozier, Roby, Jokic, Murray, Green, Adams. Yeah, I think that's solid. Gary Harris or Dozier, so it kind of depends how you think the game goes. I guess, it could work out either way, though, because if Gary Harris struggles, they can go to Dozier or Monte Morris. So it's a tough one, right? Dozier does a little bit more. Like, Dozier can get you some rebounds and get you some assists, right? he can stuff the stat sheet a little bit more. Where Gary Harris pretty reliant on the scoring. But, recently he's actually, besides the last game, he's been shooting the ball decent. So it's like a tough one. I don't have a super strong take there. I think Gary Harris has more minutes upside. He could play 35 minutes tonight. The game stays close. But, yeah, so it's just a matter of what you think happens with the game. Do you think Gary Harris hits the shots? I don't have a strong take there. I don't. DK, is both Kenrich Williams and Hayes too risky for GPPs? I mean, they're both risky value plays, right? Because Kenrich Williams, we have no idea what his minutes are going to be. Jackson Hayes could only play 5 minutes tonight. So, there's risk in both of them, but it's a 2-game slate. So, they're both going to be low round value plays. That's one way to differentiate yourself. It's a risk reward, right? Are you willing to take the risk? You recommend playing BI and Zion in the same lineup. I think I would only play Ingram and Zion together if I think the first game blows out. So, if I think Oklahoma City, Denver blows out, then yeah, you could play Zion, Ingram. I'd probably run it back with, Mitchell or Conley or Gobert, probably one or two of those guys. Zion and Dozier or Baisley and Hill. I'd rather have Zion and Dozier. Favors or Hill? Hill will play more minutes. I personally rather play George Hill, but that's me. Might be Jackson Hayes season tonight. I mean, it could be. I don't know. I don't know what his minutes are going to be. Now, Utah's a bigger team, so it's just tough, right? Only playing 8 minutes there against the Lakers, then 16, then 19. I think Jackson Hayes is a decent value play, right? Because if he plays about 15 minutes, he'll probably get you at least 10 fantasy points. So I do like Jackson Hayes, but I'm just like Kenrich Williams. I'm not convinced the minutes will be there. We need Murray's girl to give him Morris, Dozier, Ingram, Williamson, Adams, Diallo, Bart. I have no issue with that. Yeah. I hope everyone cashes. Again, guys, take it light for sure. Jackson Hayes or JJ Redick. Again, it's a tough one. Right? JJ Redick's minutes should go down with Lonzo back. Jackson Hayes, I have no idea how many minutes he plays. I mean, I usually, they're both really risky value plays. I usually prefer a big because it's the higher floor, so I guess go Jackson Hayes. Bojan and O'Neal or Clarkson and Hayes, Redick. I would rather have Clarkson and Hayes. Gobert and Mitchell. Upside, it's Mitchell. Safer is Gobert. Best cash game plays? I don't think you play cash in the slate because it's 2 games and one of them has blowout risk. I mean, I would say Jokic, Jamal Murray, Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Redick or Favors. Again, that's a tough one. Both are risky value plays, right? So I usually give the edge to the big just because I think they have a little bit of a higher floor. I mean, JJ Redick can get you 20, but if he doesn't hit his shots, he can get you 2. Do you like Donovan Mitchell tonight? I think Donovan Mitchell's he'll be popular. Yeah, he has upside. I think he's a good play. Royce O'Neal or Josh Hart? I'd rather play Josh Hart. What Payne plays would you recommend? What do you mean by that? Is fading Gobert bad? I don't think he's a must play. No. Who were the best plays if the games blow out? On Denver, I would look to PJ Dozier, JaMychal Green, Monte Morris. On OKC, I would look to Kenrich Williams, probably Maldion. Maybe Isaiah Roby plays in the blowout, not sure. On New Orleans, I would say NAW for sure would be the first guy I would look to. And then probably Jackson Hayes if the game blows out. On the Utah side, I would say Clarkson and then probably just Clarkson. I would feel comfortable. I mean, you could go to Niang, would probably play in the blowout, but yeah. I would say those guys for a blowout. You like Bogdanovich? I mean, he's fine. Should play about 25 to 30-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more. Reliant in the scoring. So, again, I don't know if he's going to hit his threes, but, yeah, he's in play for sure. Appreciate all you do. Been watching every day for over a year. When I can't catch a video, listen to the pod. Hey, thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. Do you like Roby? I think Roby's a solid bet. As long as Roby stays out of foul trouble, he's one of the better value plays. But, like I said, I said the same thing with Wiseman, right? There's a good chance he gets some foul trouble against Jokic. I feel like the cash line's going to be... Yeah, it's a 2-game slate. Both games have a little bit of bullet risk. Do you like playing? I haven't played any of the snake drafts. Minutes for Hart and NAW with Lonzo back? Yeah, so that's a good question. I would say NAW with a minutes limit for Lonzo, I would say about 20 for NAW. maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Josh Hart, I think he still gets about 25-ish. So I think like 25-ish for Hart, 20-ish for NAW. Yeah, you can play Murray and Monte Morris together. Because Monte Morris is cheap, right? And they will play alongside each other, so it's not like there's like complete negative correlation. Monte Morris will play, somewhere around 25-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more if he's playing well. And Jamal Murray, if the game stays close, probably pushes for 35. So, yeah, you can definitely play them both. That's one way to differentiate yourself, too. Like, I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. So, again, 2-game slate, you got to do something, right? Is Michigan playing tonight? So, no, I haven't even seen. Dozier, yeah, I think Dozier's a nice value play. Especially if the game blows. Like, Dozier's been getting extended. Last 3 games, he's played over 20 minutes. And if this game does not stay competitive, he could play a little bit in the blowout. I do like PJ Dozier, yeah. Baisley or Barton? I think I'd rather have Barton. I mean, they're both risky plays, right? Both minutes are not secure for either, but I think I'd rather have Barton. Would you rather Captain Ingram, Zion, or Donovan Mitchell? I would say either Zion or Donovan there. 4.5K, Harris, Hill, or leave the spot blank. Leave the spot blank. No. I mean, depends. I think Gary Harris might have a little bit more upside if he's hitting his shots. George Hill, I think, has a little bit of a higher floor. So if we're going for the upside, Gary, because he's had some decent shooting games recently, but again, very reliant on the scoring. Millsap or Green, they're both just like, I think I'd rather play Green. He's been playing a little bit more minutes recently. Yeah, guys, we're at 100 likes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mike Muscala in play? Yeah, I think you can. I think you can play Mike Muscala. He's at 3-4. Like, Mike Muscala and Isaiah Roby should split the center minutes. So, Mike Muscala, I think either way probably plays about 15 to 20 minutes, somewhere in that range. And if we get Roby foul trouble, he'll play more. And he's almost at min price. So I do actually like Mike Muscala. I think you could make the argument to play both. They're not going to play alongside each other together, but they should split the 48 minutes, right? So, like, I think if there's no foul trouble, we probably get 28 minutes from Roby and like 20 from Muscala. Cash, Conley Hill, George, Dozier, Roby. Yeah, I think that's good. What do you think about Baisley? I think Baisley's a good GPP play. Been up and down. Haven't really seen the ceiling from him recently, but it's there. It's a good matchup. Cool. I did not know that. Crushing Maryland. Hey, let's go. JaMychal Green. I think JaMychal Green's a pretty decent play. Not a must, but he's been getting, about 20-ish minutes. Thoughts on Brandon Ingram, a contrarian play. At that price, I would rather get to Jokic for a couple $1,000s more. I'd rather play Zion for less. I'd rather play Mitchell. I'd rather play Jamal Murray. Best utility under 8.5. I think it's probably going to be, it's close with Mitchell and Zion, right? Really close there. I'll go Zion, I guess. I think he has a slightly higher floor, but I like both those guys tonight. Thoughts on Diallo? You can go Diallo for GPPs. He's going to be low owned because of box score watchers. He's had 40 a couple times, right? So like the upside actually is there at Diallo. Floor though is somewhat low, so it's like I think he's an interesting GPP play tonight, right? Hasn't played a ton recently, but he can get it going off the bench. So like, yeah, he's in play. I don't think I would play Royce. I'd rather get different elsewhere. Yeah. All right, guys. A couple more questions, then I got to get out of here. Really, I appreciate all support. I did not think we would be close to 400 viewers on a 2-game slate. O'Neal or Dort? I honestly wouldn't play either, but if I had to pick, I'd play Dort. Dozier or Kendrick Williams? I'd rather have Dozier. Thoughts on Redick? Risky GPP play, especially with Lonzo back. Could only play like 15-ish minutes. Prize picks, I honestly haven't looked. I guess I got to take a look real quick, and then I do have to get out of here, guys. I got to go stream for Patreon. Yeah, it kind of depends what you think happens in these games. They have Kendrick for 17 right now. Let's see. Lonzo's only 23, but minutes limit. I don't love any of these. If the game stays close, Jokic should be able to hit over at 54, right? He should be. But there is a chance that game is not so competitive. So, I would say Jokic, but again, I'm a little bit worried about the blowout. So, yeah, nothing I love, to be honest. You're the man, bro. Thank you. Bojan or Dort? I would rather play Bojan. Dozier, Redick, Dozier. Possibly. No, I don't think Kendrick starts. All right, guys, I do have to get out of here. So thanks again. I know it's only 2-game slate. We have a big slate tomorrow. So yes, again, save your exposure for tomorrow, guys. Take this light or take the day off. Don't do it. Don't risk a lot, right? It's a high variance slate. A lot of luck involved in this one. So take it easy, enjoy the games, and get ready for tomorrow. Good luck to everyone. I appreciate you guys again, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.